What up, what up, what up?
All right. How's everybody
How,
doing today? Welcome
how's
to
everybody
the
doing?
live ethereal community corner. Sorry, tripping up on words there. All right. I am UG Skifter. Joined with me today is UG Arma. How are you doing today, Arma?
I'm doing all right, you know. Dev stream, first one. Let's see how it's going.
Yeah, it's your first dev stream.
Yeah.
You're gonna be famous now.
Oh no, that's not good.
All right, we got a lot of things to talk about today. For those of you that are not aware, after this community corner, in about 48 minutes, for being precise, the gameplay servers will be live for the closed early access. If you are a past or present Patreon member, I'm quiet. I'm being told I'm quiet.
I can turn you up.
Okay. If you are a past or present Patreon member, you should have already received an email with a key, or multiples, depending on tier and stuff like that. Okay, sounds like it's good now.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, keys have been already sent out. If you have any issues with keys or anything like that, feel free to reach out in Discord. Like I said, about 40, 45, 48 minutes from now, you will be able to log in. We should be done with this by then. But, Arma, why don't you give the rundown of what we're going to talk about today?
There's a lot. So since the last time you guys seen the game, a lot has kind of changed, right? So we're kind of gonna skim some of the larger changes throughout the patch notes. Kind of go over just quick little things here and there, and then we're gonna kind of show you guys some gameplay, some where it's evolved from the last time you guys seen the game. Some of you guys who are Patreons have already kind of seen this, or if you've seen any of the YouTube videos that have gone up, you've seen at least some hints of this. But we can show you stuff more in depth, kind of like what Skifter's running around with Kalia. A very large thing that we've seen echoed through a lot of the shorts and the YouTube videos is the camera. So I just want to make sure that it's also very clear that I'm going to be playing in immersive. Skiff's going to be playing in strategic. So you're going to see the two different camera modes. It's just so you guys can make a better feel of like how you want to play the game. Strategic is what we recommend, as it is farther pulled back and gives you a little bit more viewpoint of what's going on around you. However, I personally like strategic more. So it's really all up to feel and how you want to play the game. Besides from that, I think we should just kind of get started on the crazy amount of changes in the game.
Yeah. So we'll start at the top. I don't have it in front of me, but I kind of generally know what's there. The backend and client. So the backend got completely redone. If you guys were part of the last test, you'll probably know that there were some issues with matchmaking, maybe some account logins, stuff like that, various issues just across the board. And so we basically redid the entire backend from scratch. We took what was good and just put it into a new one and rebuilt what we needed. At the same time, we rebuilt the client. That was just more streamlined with what we wanted to do and what we knew that the game needed. So we went ahead and just did that at the same time. I'm gonna tab out of game. There we go. Yeah, okay, now I have them in front of me. So yeah, we redid the matchmaking system. We redid like things like friends. We also have a chat in the game now. That was not in the game before. There's a collection tab. The collection tab in the client is going to include all myths, all tooltips, damage numbers, cooldowns, mana cost, stuff like that. You'll also have the primary spells and familiars, which I know a lot of you have been asking about, and then classes, things like that. That's all going to be accessible in the client now. No more asking or looking on the website for them. We also added the reconnection, so if you disconnect for a game or crash or anything like that, my camera's a little crooked. That's better. Driving me insane. You can reconnect to the game. So if anything happens, you can, get back in. You might have issues getting back in, but if so, just report the bugs and we'll get them fixed. For this test, we also unlocked every skin in the game. As you can see, I'm playing on one of Kalia's skins. All skins will be unlocked to every player for no cost. After the test.
I'm default malware at the moment.
Default malware. Let's go.
Yeah,
default malware skin is actually really good. I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
There's some default skins that are just like really good. Speaking of default skins, let's pivot here for a minute. Many of you, longtime followers, are aware of a man named Talos. And if you look on Arma's camera, you will see his new splash art. That was his new model. Oh. Right there.
As my bed shows up in the
your bed shows up. Nice, good job. Anyways, new Talos model is in the game. That was not announced. That is the announcement now. New Tallow skin has been added. He has a new base skin. It is accessible to play. He is ready to go. I might show him off here in a minute.
Yeah, he is. His normal skin's also available, like his old one that everyone got used to. That's also available to choose too. However, I personally like the new look a lot better. He looks more like rugged, more hunter-like. He's kind of got a bunch of champions stuff, skins and stuff that he's grabbed.
Switch over to that real quick.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the map and some of the updates or the UI or anything like that?
Well, so I mean, obviously, a big draw point for Ethereal has always been the fact that it's the lanes are separate, right? It's new, it's something that's different. So it's still the same theme. Now, a lot of you have seen this map through our previous adventures into the space of videos, but there is some cool stuff. So we still have the Guardian portals that are going to connect you to each of these lanes. Large thing, however, at least for the current iteration of the map, we have Void Lane, which is your mid lane, your traditional mid lane. It's on the bottom, as I would say. It's the lowest lane. So the other two lanes can jump down and fall onto the edges of Void and make their way to kind of gank you from an unusual angle. We still have like this portal right here. This will take me to my ice lane. This is where we're at now. We have a bunch of jungle camps. We have like blue buff. Over there's Scorpion. We have some little crabs, which we like to call skifters, named after the man himself. We have lizards right here, stuff like that. This is your jungle, your game in jungle. You know what I mean? One big thing, as you can see, some of these walls have like this like kind of blue etching on them. That's actually super important for characters like Auron, so Berserker class characters. Their class ability, which is what you see the left shift for me currently, they're able to break these certainly marked walls, so they can kind of punch them, break it down, and create a open pathway for line of sight and for like better gank routes.
Yeah, and team rotations.
Yeah, especially team rotations.
Positioned around objectives and stuff, you can get better team rotations and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, Guardians on the side lanes and Wyverns on the side lanes, if anyone has played the older versions of the game, they still exist. They're still here. So like right here, this is going to be your ice lane Guardian. You're going to kill this Guardian. It's going to connect that little portal back there to your base for your team, only for your team. So enemies cannot use this. You're going to be able to teleport from your base to here and gain lane advantage that way, and rotational advantage. It's very, very useful for ganks. It's one of the most important objectives on the map early game, and it can definitely help you snowball into a win if used correctly, especially with Wyvern being completely opposite of your Guardian. So this is where the Ice Wyvern's going to spawn. You kind of teleport in, make a really quick rotation over to Ice Wyvern, and try to gain that objective. Now, Wyverns work a little differently, but I'll go into that in a little bit because that's more objective patch notes, because there's a lot of that. Then, like I said, as I said before, you can just kind of walk right off, and here you are. Now, there is one thing that's important, though. If you're in combat, when you fall, you do take fall damage. If you're outside of combat, you do not. So if you have low health and you try to jump off the map, you're probably going to die. So be careful. Don't just assume it's a get-out-of-jail-free card every time, because it's definitely not.
And something we added, actually, the crosshair. As some of you may notice, the crosshair is new. That is kind of indicate how to know if you're in combat or not, answering Switch's question right now. If you notice, as Malware, he's fighting, and the crosshair is red. As soon as it flips to white, you're out of combat.
Yeah.
This is also important because of a new system we added, Sprint Mode. Sprint Mode is not what you would think in the traditional sense. It is basically just an augmented auto run. You get a movement speed buff, and it automatically runs you forward. It's just a toggle run. You can only use it out of combat. If you enter combat, you will leave it. It's omnidirectional. You can take your hands off the keyboard, take a drink of water, do what you need to do. You'll run forward at increased movement speed, call it a day. This is, like I said, this is only available out of combat. Your UI will tell you, and then you can also tell off of your crosshair as well.
So your crosshair goes white, and then I hit my sprint mode button, and you see that I have speed lines and the sprint mode on the buff bar. It just means I am increased. If I hit D, sprint mode stops. If I hit S, sprint mode stops. It is literally just walking forward, and then I can just pick up my hand and walk wherever the heck I want using the mouse as my guide.
Yep. And like Reku said in the chat, minions hitting you does count as combat. It's just taking or dealing damage at all counts you, puts you in combat. So it's just meant to be snappy and give you control back. So make sure you're still paying attention.
Yeah. So that was me taking one of our purple buffs, which is kind of like traditionally in MOBAs you have your red buff and your blue buff, right? Now here we have a bunch of different ones like purple and green specifically, and they all do different things. Purple is more of like a flat damage buff across the board, and then I took that red portal. Those back portals near your base are always up. They are your team's way to connect to the other lanes through Void. So those you don't have to worry about connecting a Guardian to. However, if you connect the Guardian in mid, you will open up another portal in base, which I will show you real quick.
While you're going to that, I'm going to answer a question. When you kill a buff, can the opponent grab the buff? Yes, anybody can grab the buff. It drops on the ground. Any of the 12 myths can grab the buff. You kill it, and Leah can come and skydive and steal your buff. Or
Yes.
you can kill the buff as a jungler because the XP and gold doesn't get shared. So as a jungler, you want to kill it. So you can kill it and then give it to like your red buff to your carry, for example. So
yeah. Also, don't be like me. When I first started playing the game, since I recently joined the team, I left my buff on the ground a couple times after killing the red buff, and I felt very, very sad about it every single time. So you're gonna chill. So this is your base, right? This is your core, or your elder, as we call it. He fights back, and these are our spires. These also fight back. Now, the big thing about spires, the reason why they are different than our towers, is that they send out a shockwave. They do not send out a targeted laser. So what you're looking at is it will hit everything in the circle. Minions will take a certain amount of damage for each pulse. And so it's more predictable for last hits underneath spires. So it's not like a random number. They will take a set amount, so you can plan out ahead of time for last hits. Also, these gates right here, these are where the Guardian portals that connect to your base. So let's say I take Mid Guardian. Mid Guardian portal will open up on both sides, and we can take that to where the Mid Guardian is. Same thing for Fire. Fire would open up over here. Ice would open up on the other side over there. And we can take that Guardian portal to the middle of the base the middle of the lane from base. It's actually super advantageous for rotation times. So make sure you're on those. Those are very important.
yes, very, very important. A couple other systems that we added. I'm just going to touch on a couple systems real quick. Ability queuing. We did add a queuing system. So if you rapidly click a bunch of keys, it'll try to like pick them up. It's not like gonna pick them all up, but it'll pick them up within quick succession. It's meant to be smooth, give player experience, things like that. Surrender system. If some of you were watching, I surrendered on the last one to switch. I don't think he's showing my screen anymore, but I surrendered at the end of the Kalia game to get into game as Talos. Nice and simple. We also updated things like damage numbers. We increased the movement penalty on basic attacks. We added cleave to all melee myths. So all melee myths now have cleave, and we added items, being the axes, that increase the cleave percentage.
Just wanted to show what the Guardian looks like. So I'm going to switch over to Skiff's view so you guys can see some Talos, because I know some people have been really looking to see Talos.
If you're in sprint mode and get attacked, does anything happen? Do you like get rooted or anything bad like that? No. Nothing bad happens. Your screen will flash from the damage, and your crosshair will turn red, and you'll leave sprint mode and just stay. If you don't have your hands on WASD, you'll just stand there and not move. So yeah, this is going to be Talos' new model. This is default in the game right now. He has new VFX as well. I don't even know if I have abilities. There we go. But yeah, he has new VFX. They're red. I believe they were shot off in a video at some point. Maybe the year in review video back in January. I would check that out on YouTube to get a full view of his VFX. Or just pop in game in 30 minutes. You could do that too. Yeah. What else you got, Arma?
Well, do you want to go over some more of the class abilities? So like yours, I guess, since you're Talos right now.
Yeah, so Talos' class ability is the Knight class. He is a Knight. Knights have different paths they can take. At the beginning of the game, this is how it's supposed to work. I'll explain how it's supposed to work, and then I'll talk about Tal specifically. How it's supposed to work is you get 3 options. You pick one, and then you can interact with the game. Things like killing minions, killing wyverns, atropos, things like that, like interacting and playing the game, and then you'll upgrade that path. The goal in the future is to have 3 options. You pick one, and you play and upgrade it as you go. Currently in the game, there's only one path, so Talos automatically starts at that as at default. It gives you a bunch of movement speed when you activate it, and as you upgrade it, it then gives that bonus to teammates. So when you upgrade it the first time, you get access to that. When you upgrade it the second time, you can give it to allies in a small area, and when you upgrade it again the final time, which I think requires you killing a Tropos, then you give it to your team in like a huge area. It's huge for like engages, disengages, rotations, stuff like that. Yeah.
And then we also have, like I talked about earlier, the Berserker class. They're the guys who punch the walls and break the walls. As far as like Malware, who I was just playing, Carry, he has a short-range teleport akin to Flash or Blinkstone, depending on what games you are relative usefulness, Blink Dagger. Anything you have, past knowledge of. Besides from that, your support has a shield that she can throw out. Marina is the only cleric in the game. That she's the one that has that class ability, so she can throw a little shield out on her ally. And then the most interesting one, I think it's going to have a lot of fun, is the Archmage class ability. So they place totems. You have 2 totems, and then you connect them once you place them both, and you connect those 2 spots. As long as you are near one totem and you press the shift button, then you will teleport to the other totem after a small channel time. So it's useful for setting up like pre-rotations. So let's say like you're playing in mid, you go through your Guardian portal, you place a totem up near a buff, up near Wyverns, say, right? And then you go back to base, you shop, and you place a portal. Place a totem. You can then teleport to the totem right next to Fire Wyvern or right next to Ice Wyvern if that's how you feel. Again, there is a very small channel time, and you can't act while that channel is happening. So you got to make sure that your totems are like safe, and people can definitely camp out your totems if they know where they're at. So just be wary of that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have some Kalia gameplay. I'll switch real quick too.
Go for it.
And again, don't forget, I'm playing in immersive. He's playing in strategic. That's why the game looks different.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the new familiars. Last test, we had placeholder familiars. They were just in the game to give you guys a semblance of what the game was going to play like. But we have the actual effects of what the familiars are actually going to be. There are 8 in the game. They are unique per player. So when you go into character select, you're going to have 8 of them options. 6 people on your team, which means there's going to be 6 unique ones available. When somebody hovers them in myth select, nobody else will be able to pick it. You will need to pick one in order to lock in. If somebody does not pick a myth or a familiar at all by the end of the timer, the character select will cancel. But once you pick a myth and a familiar, then it will auto-lock. Primary spell can get picked later on. If you're a jungler or a support, you will automatically get picked your jungle and support items. So you don't need to worry about going out of your way to do that. Role select. Role select happens at the beginning. If you guys were watching my screen, that happened. It will default give 1 person every role. You cannot double up on roles. It's just the first person to get the role will get the role, and you can pick Phil, and then it will distribute the rest of the remaining roles randomly to anybody that picked Phil or that did not pick a role. Yeah, I think I covered that.
Yeah.
Some of the familiars include like a targeted damage spell. One of them is entering stasis and becoming invulnerable to damage for a couple seconds.
Big thing is that can be used on allies too, not just yourself.
Yeah, that can be used on allies. One of them is for 3 seconds you store damage taken, and then you gain a shield for the same amount after a period of time. Things like that. Like all this information you're going to be able to read in the client. It's all available to you.
The one thing is, its primary spells are not unique, correct? The familiars are, but the primary spells, anyone can grab the
Correct.
same ones.
Anybody can take any primary spell, but you can only take a unique familiar. Yeah, that's correct.
Another thing, as some people have seen, there is local gold too, as you see, as I'm missing all these last hits because I suck at the game. We do have local gold, so you gain a little bit of gold just because the minion died near you. But of course, you're going to gain a significantly larger portion of that gold if you've killed the minion. Now, is there anything specific anybody wants to see real quick on the screen before we start going over anything else? Any specific characters real quick we can switch out? Want to see more Kalia? Alt? I have to sit here and get alt, so give me a second, all right?
Open the gates. Man just wants in.
We'll let everybody in, at least Patreon members in. As soon as we're done streaming, we will have it all worked on and accessible as soon as possible. That being said, anybody who's not a Patreon member, go ahead and hook that up. Any kind of sub to the Patreon will get you a key for this weekend and next Thursday. But then next weekend, it's open to everybody. So if you're not a Patreon, that is when we're going to start having everybody available to play. So you don't necessarily have to if you don't want to, but the option is there, and we appreciate the support either way.
Question, are ADCs hit scan? ADCs are not hit scan. They are projectile based.
Yeah. All basics are projectile based.
Yep. There's a couple targeted abilities, like Noxus's R, and like Marina Shield, like you target an ally shield, but other than that, everything is projectile based. Do ADCs get a nuclear warhead? It's called late game malware.
Yeah, late game malware is a nuclear warhead. Yes, correct. That is how it works. He says, hello, goodbye. How are you?
Cast settings. That is a good question. Is there quick cast? It depends on the ability currently. Right now, it's like a mix of, is it a ground targeted ability or is it something that can be fired off immediately? Right now, it's a mix. It's manually done right now. There's no cast settings at the moment. That is something that we're actively working on to implement in a future test. Personally, I want it in the next test. That should have been done a long time ago, but it's okay. We got plenty of good stuff this test. And yeah, that's definitely a priority is cast settings. So be definitely on the lookout for that in the future, as we move forward.
Yeah.
Definitely want that in the game.
I am almost level 6 people who wanted to see Kalia, so give me a second.
Oh, the Spirit Bomb? Let's go.
Yeah, everybody wants to see the Spirit Bomb. Or at least somebody wants to see the Spirit Bomb. We'll give them a taste, you know what I mean?
Shoot, I want to see the Spirit Bomb. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Wyverns, the new effects, and how they work functionally?
Yeah, so Wyverns, it's a little different. It's very akin to some other systems you'll see now. However, when you slay a Wyvern, depending on the Wyvern, Ice gives you a little bit more, I would say, defensive buffs. Fire Wyvern gives you a little bit more, what I would say, offensive buffs. Omnivamp and attack speed versus CDR and some armor. However, the big thing is that you get increase of those passive stat boosts based on the number of each type you've taken. However, now when you've taken 3, you get a permanent buff based on whichever one you've taken 3 of. Now, it is possible to get 3 of both and get both perms, as we like to call it, absolutely game ending. However, the biggest thing here is that getting Sheer Cold and Hellflame are very important, and they do kind of help you push that late game. So it is important to make sure that you're focusing on these objectives, or at least stopping the opponents from getting perms when you can, or working to get your own perms, however you feel like it. And again, since they are focused on 2 separate lanes, but they do spawn at the same time, there is some strategic elements to that, to where you can be like, hey, if they're going to 5 rotate over to Fire Wyvern and take Fire Wyvern, why don't we just rotate over to Ice instead of forcing a fight at Fire? So there's a lot of give and take in the Wyvern situation. Um, the most important thing though is that perm. You really don't want your opponents to get the permanent buff. Once the somebody has had 3 of a kind, that wyvern will not respawn again. So you, like I say, if I have sheer cold, there will be no more ice wyvern spawns. So you can't get sheer cold again for the enemy team or whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna answer some of the questions in chat real quick, and I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a basic overview of the game for some of you new people in chat. The Ethereal is a 6v6, so it is got an extra jungler in it. There is a very large map. Arma, can you press tab? Show the whole map. It is a very large map. You got the fire lane, void lane, and the ice lane. There are 2 junglers in here. Right now we have duo lane over in fire lane. We have the mid laner and the solo laner in ice with a jungler on each half. So one will be in fire and half of void. The other one will be ice and the other half of void.
Real quick, everybody who wanted to see Kalia's Spirit Bomb, Merry Christmas.
Well, let's go.
The longer that you stand up there, you can aim it farther out.
Fog. But yeah, so it's a 6v6. There is an extra jungler. The way the characters are set up, every character has a passive. They have 3 basic abilities. They have a special ability. Now, the special ability has a higher power level than a basic ability, but less than an ultimate. However, it also comes with a downside. So in Kalia's case,
dash,
she gets a very short cooldown dash that ramps in mana cost for subsequent usages. So you just end up eating your mana if you cast it on cooldown, essentially.
And it does follow your directional inputs, so you can dash in any of the 8 directions.
Yeah. She is hypermobile, damage dealer. That's her thing. And yeah. So that's all special abilities. They all have an upside and a downside. They do have a higher power level of regular basic abilities, but they come with a cost. And after that, every myth also has an ultimate ability. And the ultimate ability is, well, ultimate. Kalia's, you saw the guy saw the Spirit Bomb. That's Kalia's ultimate. Noxus is the other Archmage. Drops a giant rock from the sky. And it's a huge teamfight ability.
Gigantic. Noxus is definitely the more artillery mage of the situation.
Yeah. All those ultimates you can read in the client. And then the class ability is the other ability that's going to be on shift. That is not unique to the myth. That is unique to the class. So we have 2 marksmen, which are Dante and Malware. They are both ADCs. And they both have the same shift ability, which is going to be the flash, a combat flash. They both get access to it no matter what. Any marksman gets it. I will clarify now that just because somebody is a specific class of myth does not mean that they are a specific role. So while right now that is the case, where you have Dante and Malware both being marksmen, and they're both ADCs, that may not always be the case. We may have marksman junglers, for example, or things like that. That is something that we want to keep open and allow us to have, depth in the game design. Oh yes, good old Leah.
Good old flyer. Gonna fly around, say hello to everybody. I just kind of wanted to showcase this because this is one of the larger points about the game that definitely makes it different than other MOBAs is the verticality. Now, obviously, the hero can fly, which is kind of crazy, right? Especially if you're thinking about any other sort of MOBA. But it's super important, especially for when these lanes are segmented, to be able to traverse to these lanes at a moment's notice. Now you have things like the Archmage's class ability that does it, but you also have things like Leia's flying, which will allow her to not have to base or not have to go to teleporter and just fly to wherever she needs to go. Now, currently, we do not have a Fog of War system implemented. However, there definitely will be in the future. It is one of the things that we are definitely hard working on. So some of the issues people might have with it right now, don't worry. We already know where, and we are working on ways to fix that and make things better. A large thing, as you see, and if you see my bar on the bottom left, underneath the left shift, that is my stamina. That is pretty much how long I have to be able to fly. The biggest thing here, though, is as you take damage, it actually takes chunks of your stamina away, and you can't fly while in combat. So, if I run up here and get hit with a bunch of minions, I lose stamina, and then let's say I'm being chased by someone and I get out of combat, I will start regaining stamina, but if I try to fly, I will have less stamina bar to fly to, so I can't fly as far. See how my bar turns red, and then once I get out of combat, it turns back to green, and I can go ahead and fly away.
And then on the contrary, there are Reapers. Reapers can climb. If you want to switch to my screen, Arma, I am playing the new Reaper. So here I have Ethereal. He is one of the 3 new characters in the game. He is a Reaper, just like Malaya, and he can just climb walls. This can happen in combat. Just like Leah, though, damage will reduce it. As you can see, he does not have a lot of stamina to climb up this wall. You can see the bar on the bottom left, and it drains very quickly. If you take damage, it drains even faster. But this allows you to just be up here. Nobody else can be up here unless you can fly, or you can climb, or anything like that.
Can he double jump? Yes. Hit space twice. Big jump.
Big stamina. But yes, double jump.
Yes, it does.
That is
take
actually a new addition. That is a good point. New addition.
It does take a large amount of stamina, though.
Yep.
And engaging in these activities uses a upfront cost, and then you have the drainage as you're using the ability. That way, to avoid people just spam using the ability in order to keep like flight or keep climbing on certain issues. So there is a larger upfront cost to try to help mitigate those things. And obviously balance is balance, and we will look at that in the future as needed.
One thing to note about Exiel, as one of the new myths, he does have true invisibility. There's nothing anybody can do to see this except for Exiel's passive himself. So if you are in a mirror matchup, Exiel's passive is technically a counter to Exiel himself, which is kind of interesting. Exiel's passive is an AoE basic attack. Every 3rd basic attack.
They do level up that way, Switch.
Yeah,
sorry.
Control keys do level up. Also, the F keys, F1 through F5, will also do it as well. Exiel's passive is an AoE basic attack. Let's see if I can come over here and do it. That will apply True Sight on everybody in the area as well. This is important for the future, especially when we have an actual like Fog of War system, as it will like keep vision on people as they like leave vision and stuff like that. Or in Exiel's case, it is good to make sure he doesn't go invis.
If he is taking dot damage, he will still be invis, but the numbers will pop up, so you will be able to see that, so you can kind of track him that way. So like if you hit him with anything
I think that may change in the future though.
That's just how it works currently. So
yes, that is how it works currently, but I think that may change in the future. Yeah, kind of. Let me explain kind of how the Fog of War. This is more of a future plan, but I'll explain kind of how it's going to work. It is. You won't be able to see anything past a certain range at all. Minions, myth, anything like that. There is a chance, and now this is still in development, so take it with a grain of salt. There is a chance that there is an actual visible fog. It won't be crazy overbearing, but it'll be like on the floor, so you can kind of see where your vision line is, and if there's a ward like off in the distance, you'll be able to see where, like kind of where your vision goes. All of your ally units will give vision, being minions, towers, etc. Yes, fog will apply in the lane and in the whole jungle. So if you look down here, that entire side over there of the enemy side will be dark. You won't be able to see. Like right now, you can see the minions coming out of the enemy base. That will not be the case forever, but you'll be able to see your minions coming out of base. So your ally units will get vision, but like in the jungle down here, you won't be able to see either, unless you have a ward or an ally or something like that. And then I'll jump off just for fun.
Also, something that's actually kind of relevant sometimes, the edges of Ice Lane and Fire Lane, the outer edges, do not have walls. If you get thrown off through either you running off or Auron grabbing you and throwing you because he has a grab and throw. If he throws you off that edge, it's just fall to death. There is nothing there to catch you. That is all it is. That's all she wrote.
Because of fall damage, and yeah, if you just go off the edge of the map, you just kind of die.
Be careful. I'm playing Noxus real quick, so let me switch over. Some people wanted to see Noxus.
And when you're dead, you can toggle between other alive myths and your towers.
So Noxus's abilities are pretty simple. She has like a forward-facing laser, which is her Q. But as you can see the number next to my Q, if you can see that, you can stack that up to 3 times. Then her E is like a root. So you kind of point, you click, you place it. Anything inside that gets rooted. The cool thing about that is that that has additional functionality with her R. So her R is this little portal that opens. Anything at range, it locks on and shoots when you press it. Things that are rooted get more damage. They get more projectiles sent their way. So you pretty much, you root them and you press R at the same time, and they're going to get rooted and get R'd, and they're going to take a bunch of damage. Thing about her special ability, her RMB, it roots her in place, but increases her range and her magical damage while she's rooted. So like I press this, it zooms out the camera a little bit, my range is increased, and yeah. But you're still rooted in place. So be very careful because you do not want to do that at the wrong time and get stuck there.
Yeah. Quick question, quick thing to add to the vision system. Wards are planned. They are already in the game. They're very, very basic. They show like health bars and myths through across the map, and they will show up on your mini map, things like that. So wards do exist already. I believe there's 75 gold in the shop, and you can hold 2 at a time. But they will get expanded upon and be increased functionality-wise, quality of life, things like that in the future. They do what wards do. That is correct. Is there support items for wards? No, there is not at the moment.
It is definitely something we have talked about, though, in the future, so, you know, keep an eye on it. But at the moment, no. We want to finish the Fog of War and system and all that first, and then we can work on how wards and all that will work out inside of that system.
Yep. I'm going to talk about some of the notable minion and jungle changes. We have, in the past, our siege minion in the wave, which is like every 3 waves at the beginning of the game. That used to be melee in the last test. That is now ranged. When you take down a spire, then additional melees will spawn at the beginning of the wave. Before, you also could like leash minions into the jungle and just go on a trip. You can't do that anymore. You also have increased minion size. They increase movement speed with game time to end games faster. The way the jungle camps were changed is you have to actually damage them for them to aggro to you. Now, they do have a leash range, and if you go out of range, they'll start to walk back to their original location. However, if you just walk back into range, they will re-aggro you as long as they haven't completely reset, if that makes sense. As long as they haven't just completely gotten back to their original spawn location, then all you have to do is walk back into range. You don't have to deal damage to them again.
So there's a little teeny tiny bit of forgiveness there, is pretty much what that is.
And you can play with the ranges there. It is, I will note for all you jungle mains out there, you can leash camps together. You can pull them together in certain spots. Not going to say it's everywhere, but there are certain jungle camps that you can leash together, and you can maximize efficiency. So, good luck to you junglers. Have fun.
We got to let them know, Rain. We got to let the people know, man.
Do you get reduced XP if you don't last hit? No, you do not. The only way you get reduced gold XP is if you have the jungle item, but that's only reduced XP on lane minions. So your junglers don't come and start stealing all your XP.
Or people don't just start taking a bunch of smite items in lane and running out objectives that way.
So the XP, say a minion has 100 XP and there's 2 people in lane, they'll each get like 75. So it's a reduced, it's an increased percentage at a split between people, if that makes sense. Only the killer gets gold, but there is local gold that you also get that everybody is nearby gets.
Here is the Noxus ult. So it's the big comet. Anything hit in the center circle will be stunned. Anything hit on the outside circle will be slowed, and you just bye. Just drop the rock.
Donk. Yep. Huge team fight ability. Probably one of the biggest team fight abilities in the game, I'd say.
I would definitely say, yeah. It is huge. It's why you pick Noxus over someone like Kalia. Whereas Kalia is more mobile and can play more of like an assassin sort of role, where she gets to play this super mobile and roam around. Noxus gets to show up to a team fight and say, "Hi, you're gone now."
Yeah. Diminishing returns on CC. No, there is not diminishing returns on CC, and currently I don't plan to add it either. There are a lot of items in the game that counter CC. There are both damage and tank items like that. There's plenty of options. There's primary spells, there's familiars, there's items. There are plenty of opportunities to deal with CC. While there is some pretty strong CC in the game, Leah has 2 knockups. There are definitely ways to play around it as well. Can we see Iran break a wall, please? Sure, I'll load in as Iran.
Let me switch to his screen real quick.
All right, gamers, we got like 5 minutes. Drop all your questions in chat, and then if you have any more questions after we end the stream today, feel free to drop them in Discord, and somebody will be able to answer. I will load it as a Ron real quick. You can also, there's also tooltips in character select, so if you just want to rush into game and read everything in here, go for it. You can read all of the myths abilities in the character select, all the familiars, primary spells, it's all there for you to read. You can just jump right in. And you see all the skins. All of it is unlocked. For the test, are streamers allowed to stream? Yes, if you are a streamer, go for it. Stream the game. There is no holds barred.
Have fun. No NDA. As soon as the stream goes live, do what you got to do.
Yep. So a big thing about this test is we want everybody to have fun. In the past, we were very much, this is open, stress the game. We broke the game. We did that. We want to have fun. This test today specifically is about having fun and about feedback. We want your feedback, so please join the Discord if you're not a member already. There is a feedback forum in there. And absolutely drop your feedback. Positive, negative feedback, we will take it all. We want to know what we're doing right. We want to know what we're doing wrong. We want to know where to pivot. We want to know where to focus. So let me go find a wall to break.
Something I do want to say. Just remember that we're still in the alpha. Now the game might have been gone a lot farther than you guys have seen in a while, but we're still in alpha. So we do have things we're working on. We definitely have a lot of additional features that we already have in the pipeline to come up that didn't make it into this test, but hopefully some of them will make it into the next test.
For targeted abilities, you activate them with LMB and cancel with RMB. Yes, so if, let me take a run here. Right here, and I just RMB to cancel. And throw.
Little meatball. Throw the meatball. Hulk skin for Auron, that would be sick. However, we don't got that Disney money. If y'all want to subscribe to the Patreon, we might be able to get some Disney money. You know what I mean? So
let's see if I can do it. This one's hard. These ones are hard to do.
That one's hard to. That one's kind of.
This one's really hard to do. I still haven't figured it out, but I know it's possible.
Yep.
And that one, it already reset. It's possible. These are possible to leash if you destroy this wall. Good luck. There's probably a spot on the ground, a flower you can find. It is possible. I made sure it was possible. Good luck. Let me know what the flower is.
Take a picture of what the spot is so we can figure it out ourselves. My man said, "It's time. Open the gates."
It's time. You got 4 minutes. All right, let's scan the chat for any more questions. Is there an option to disable screen shake? Yeah, so let me open the settings menu real quick. We'll go over some things in here. Controller. This little checkbox here will enable controller. Let me hit that, and you will find the controller settings here. That's the layout. You cannot rebind controller settings right now, unfortunately, and it is only Xbox. PS will not work unless you have some weird background third party, but I'm not going to endorse that. But you can do it if you want. You will lose most of your keyboard controls, so be aware of that. You won't be able to use your mouse or your jump. And then separate sensitivity for either. You also have the camera shake sensitivity. You can just turn it off. Go for it. You can show your own health bar. So right now Iran has his health bar. I can turn it off. Now I only see it at the bottom UI. And then buff descriptions as well. You see I have the blocking, and now it's just the icon. So if you know what the icon is, you don't want it blocking your screen, go for it. We also have this nice handy feature where you just configure the entire UI however you want. So go crazy. Yeah, I'm just going to play like this now. And then you can just reset.
My man plays with the mini map directly in the center of the screen. Who needs the actual map? Just stare at the mini map.
We just make it very large and very in charge. There you go. You can play like that now.
I don't need to see my character. All I need is the mini map.
Yep. So yeah, completely customizable UI. It is a new UI for those of you that have been tracking the game for a while. We have talked about it in the past. And there's the reform of the wall. If you are inside the wall when it finishes reforming, you are dead. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if you are Iran and you see a wall reforming, feel free to grab somebody and chuck that person into the wall because they will die and you will get kill credit for it.
It is hilarious. That's all
it is hilarious. It's like a 1 in a million chance, but
yeah. It'll like never happen, but it's hilarious.
When it does, it's worth it.
Yeah. It's the Omega Brain Gang strategy. Just look at this wall, bro. One big thing I did want to touch up on about the UI. The any rebinded keys will show up the new rebind keys. That's important.
Yeah.
So like I have my familiar and stuff set up to my mouse buttons, so they will show mouse buttons.
There you have camp timers here. You also have the Ice Wyvern and Fire Wyvern. You'll get little icons when a team kills one, so you can keep track of how many each team has to know when you're going to get the permanent buff. Timers, all the camps, all that good stuff. Now, we do have 1 minute, so we're going to wrap up here. And Guardian spawned in my face. We're going to walk away. Yeah. Any other questions before we wrap it up and open up the gameplay servers? Well, the servers will be open for 24 hours. They will probably be open for about 12 hours, roughly. Just for the rest of the day today. Then after today, they will open up next Thursday, probably around the same time, right around, early afternoon. And then once they open up next Thursday in the afternoon, they will be open up until Sunday. So next Thursday to next Sunday, and then Friday through Sunday will be completely open to anybody. Arma, can you switch back to your screen real quick? Yeah. I'm going to leave my game.
Also, something real quick. Last thing I want to say, because all of our support mains out here, they need to know. You can self-cast shields as Marina. It's kind of important.
Good thing.
So her E, you can point it. You can point your cursor at a friendly, shield them, or you can press left Alt and E and shield yourself. It does not work with her class ability. It only works with her actual E ability. The class ability has to be an ally myth. But you can make sure you can shield yourself. That's super important in order to keep you alive. Can you rebind that? I'm not sure. I haven't tried that.
I don't think you can.
No,
actually.
it's not in here yet, but it was something we had on the list.
It is on my list, yeah.
So we will definitely make sure we take a look at that later. But it is something that we do want to make sure we have done. We kind of have a long list of things we've already kind of noted from this update that we have either started working on or at least have prioritized different. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is time. You guys should be good to go.
Download.
Do we have a roadmap? That will, I believe, is going up on the new website sometime soon. I do not have an exact date for that. Now, if you guys are interested and you guys are not currently subbed to the Patreon, feel free to go for it and sign up. Even the $5 tier will get you access today. If you want to get a higher tier and support the game, it is much appreciated, and we will give extra keys for doing so you can play with your friends. And yeah, today will go until for about 12 hours, roughly. So
Now reopen next Thursday for Patreon, and then Friday will be everybody.
Open. Yeah. So if you guys can't sub to Patreon for any reason, next Friday will be completely open to everybody. So if you do have fun, please let us know. We want everybody to have fun today. We want everybody to enjoy the game, enjoy the progress that the game has made. We know we have fun, and we wanted to share it with you. So go for it. You should be able to log in already. So, and if you have any issues or any feedback, feel free to let us know in the Discord. You have any final thoughts?
No. Just make sure you join the Discord to get that the launcher download. That's important.
Yep. And there is a bug report in the settings as well. So if you open the settings on the bottom left, you will see a bug report button.
Yep.
That will link you to the Discord where we would like you to report bugs. So.
All right, guys. We're going to get off here. We're going to probably play some games with everybody who wants to play. Besides from that, thank you guys for joining in.
Yeah, we'll see you out there.
Switch, if it won't let you in, hit up a Discord. Well, we'll figure it out. Just hit us up on Discord, okay? All right, see you, everybody.